Howdy everyone, the time is 5:01 p.m. and it is December 19th. Welcome to another of Great Lakes weather. Latest models just came out on the GFS just now for this upcoming blizzard that we have soon, and it is going to be a very powerful blizzard, as you probably have heard already from many of the different meteorologists that are now talking about it. It's kind of starting to hit the news at this point, and there's winter storm watches set up all across the plains areas in the Midwest, and it's making its way over into this area. I'm expecting some winter storm watches and maybe even some blizzard warnings, and it looks like western Michigan is now the key target for this potential blizzard. So we're going to get into all that. Make sure that you're subscribed so that you're staying updated with all of the upcoming weather that is on the way, especially this blizzard and later on into next year. So Christmas blizzard, it's definitely going to be a white Christmas, maybe too white of a Christmas in some places, but it's still, we haven't had one in several years. So we're going to get right into it right now. This is the National Weather Service's website, weather.gov, giving you the latest warnings and alerts. You can see that there's some winter storm watches put out now for Wisconsin, Illinois, even parts of Indiana now have just been put under this winter storm watch. I expect this to spread into parts of Ohio, maybe even parts of Ohio and Michigan as we get closer to this event, but they're just starting to issue the alerts within 48 to 72 hours of the actual event. So that is coming for Thursday and into Friday as well. So these are the watches, and interesting thing to note, there is actually some severe thunderstorms ongoing in Hawaii and winter storm warnings combined with on the mountain ranges. It's a very interesting storm that's going on in Hawaii that can be kind of related to what's going on here in the continental United States, but still very interesting what's going on up there. But the storm is on the way. The polar or Arctic vortex is making its way from Siberia up from the poles into the eastern and central continental United States at the current moment. Let's look at what the Weather Prediction Center is putting out for this potential snow event now. This is for Friday, December 23rd. So they're projecting, again, lake effect snow is looking like a good possibility with this event. 50 to 70% chance along the lake shore in western Michigan. That includes parts of Portage, Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, areas off to the north. It looks like northern Michigan is going to really get the brunt of this event. As it moves up from the northeast, that low pressure system has shifted slightly eastward from where it was last night. It was actually out towards Wisconsin last night, but has shifted back into an eastward setup right where it was before. And in the previous video that I made, it showed where that was, and it's kind of in that same area at the current moment. But that low is going to bring a lot of snow on the western side of it, and that is what is shown here. The 24th, I think the bigger concern that's going to be with this storm is not necessarily the system snow, which is going to be heavy, but the lake effect still on the backside. We're going to have 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts associated with the backside of this storm. We're going to have a really tight pressure gradient between that Arctic air and the low pressure system, which is really going to allow for just wind to just surge through in between those two boundaries, and that's going to cause a lot of wind. Blizzard conditions are expected with this in some places, likely in western Michigan, parts of Indiana, and Illinois as well. I think southern Indiana is going to see snow and maybe some windy conditions, but I don't think it's going to be getting super intense down there. Ohio, again, probably just some snow and maybe just a little bit of wind with that as well. But the wind is going to really focus itself up into northern Indiana, and then all pretty much across the entire lower peninsula and upper peninsula of Michigan is a target. This is a 70 to 90% probability of greater than 2.5 inches of snow, and that includes areas such as Portage, Kalamazoo, again, same places as before. That's going to be attributed to the lake effect and the fact that the snow that is coming around the low pressure system is going to wrap around the low pressure, and it's going to stick itself right in parts of western Michigan, which is going to draw off that lake as well and dump even more snow in that general location. So there's a lot of things at play with this, and they're even showing some maybe possible snow potential afterwards on Christmas Day as well. So this is going to be one big old snowstorm, something that's going to be quite an impressive storm going through the area. So going to want to keep watch on that. All right, so latest models are just coming in. I'm getting some very new updates in regards to this particular storm. This is the GFS model. We're also going to look at the ECMWF model and the NWS blended models for particulars on what the models are saying about snow totals. Again, you can't really pinpoint a snow total until you get closer to the event for a particular area, but the models do provide some insight as to where this focus of the snow could potentially be. So here you have high pressure, again, still sitting over the Great Lakes region, and then can't really see where that low is at just yet, but you can see that there's Arctic air starting to filter in on this northwest side up near Canada. That there's a brief little low pressure system that could surge through the Upper Peninsula, bring a little bit of snow up there, and then you can really see where that low starts to develop. And that Arctic air mass, you can see that pressure gradient, that tight one on the east side of the Rocky Mountains. It's going to be kind of coming together. Once again, I've already shown you this before on the previous live stream we did as well. This is where things come into question. Where are we going to see the snow and where are we going to see the rain? It looks like for much of the Great Lakes region, anywhere south of Grand Rapids is going to see a little bit of rain and even freezing rain before it transitions to all snow, and that's going to cause a mess on the roads. So let's look at the low pressure as it moves off to the northeast. You can see it starts to deepen as it gets over Michigan, and the winds start to increase. You even have some snow squalls coming on the backside in parts of Ohio as well. Those look like heavy snow squalls that will be on the backside of that cold front. Likely a few snow squalls going on through there. And then that heavy snow really settles itself over parts of Michigan. And look at how it's a very interesting setup you have here. Let's go to hour 87, and let's zoom in on the Great Lakes region real quick to get an idea of what is going on here. You can see, look at this. You have your rain wrapping around in this low pressure, and then on the back side where that air is cooling down from north to south, you have that transition to snow. This is a very interesting setup with regards to temperature and pressure. Look at the temperature difference in between where the low pressure is, which is right about here, and then the south and the northern portions of that. You can see it's temperatures are getting close to above freezing across portions of Michigan, and then south of Grand Rapids, temperatures are dropping into the 20s. This is at about 3 a.m. on Friday, and then the winds on the backside of this are going to surge behind this low pressure system with that cooler air, and that's going to allow for blizzard-like conditions to potentially occur with wind gusts. Again, will be increasing to about 50 miles an hour, and right now they're about 40 miles an hour as that goes through. Look at how interesting this is set up. You got this low pressure system sitting right here. Right here, you don't really have many wind gusts. It's kind of a quiet on the back side of this. It's very interesting how you have a little break in the wind right here. It kind of looks like the break of a wind you'd see in a hurricane. But this bomb cyclone is really going to bring this wind up into parts of the Great Lakes later on. You can see it starts to wrap around that center portion of the low pressure system. Wind gusts of up to 50 miles per hour, even in parts of Cass, St. Joe. And with the freezing rain, then the snow coming on the backside, there's likely going to be some power outages in some places that will be difficult to fix in a short period of time due to the amount of snow that's going to continue to be falling at this current time. So wind gusts of almost 70 miles an hour on the lake. That's going to cause for a lot of spray on the lighthouses, causing a lot of ice spikes to form, and then a lot of things to change on the beaches as well. It's going to be very interesting. I'm going to have to go check that out after Christmas Day and get a look at it. But wind gusts are going to begin to increase, start to surge into the Great Lakes region. It's still wrapping kind of as it moves off towards the east, and you can see that then it really starts to take a foothold of higher winds once it begins to shift finally off to the east. It'll stagnate for a little bit in parts of eastern Michigan, which is very interesting. Then it will surge off to the northeast, and that is what the current projection shows for the model. And you can still see Friday the 23rd, Friday afternoon, you still have snow falling. It's still pretty heavy, but along with the wind, that's going to make for dangerous travel, significant accumulations likely from this event. And then continuing into Saturday morning, Christmas Eve, you still have snow falling according to the GFS now, which GFS usually doesn't even show significant amounts of lake effect snow, but it does show that lake effect snow will continue even Christmas Day. So it's going to be over the span of several days this going through. It's likely going to cause some major travel impacts, and even in Chicago, Grand Rapids, Detroit, all those airports, you're going to want to be careful and keep checks on your travel plans, because it's really going to be nasty weather in the Great Lakes region between Thursday and into Sunday, and maybe even parts of Monday if the winds tend to hold together. But the winds really should start to die down as we get to December 26th. This is as far out as the model goes right now. We're still getting updates as it comes in. But this storm is going to be a force to be reckoned with for holiday or Christmas travel. So keep checks on it for sure. And if you can make your travel plans before this storm hits, I would highly advise that you do so because it is not going to be a fun storm to be driving in. It may be even impossible to drive in a storm of this kind of magnitude. So you're going to want to be extra careful out on the roads as well. Let's get a look at what the GFS projects for snow accumulations getting close to the tail end of this event. Winter weather, and we'll look at the total snowfall and the 10-to-1 ratio. It actually is focusing the brunt of the snow back into Michigan. Last night, you had the brunt of the snow focused into parts of eastern Wisconsin, eastern Illinois, but now it seems to be shifting back into Michigan again. So shifting back farther to the east, we'll have to see if that trend continues and influences how much snow we're going to get. But it does look like western Michigan into northern Indiana is the primary place where this is going to be bring impacts, and then into northern Michigan as well with that lake effect snow. You've got these snow totals will likely go down a little bit. The GFS tends to overestimate these up until the day of the actual event, but you do see that there's snow likely going to be, well, there's going to be likely a lot of snow up where those lake effect snow bands really develop. Snow depth is shown to be pretty extensive as well. Really can't go full scale on this. It's probably going to be lower as we continue to progress forward in later model updates, but still a lot of snow showing up for snow depth on the model graphics. But you can pretty much see everywhere in the Great Lakes region is going to have a white Christmas. Detroit there, I only see an inch there. I think you'll probably get a little bit more than an inch. You'll most definitely get more than an inch. I do think the GFS is kind of spotty in that regard. I do think everyone across the Great Lakes region will have at least a bit of snow on the ground by the end of this particular event. And when I say Great Lakes region, I'm referring to Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. So let's go to the Euro model real quick, get a look at what's the Euro model is currently showing with the latest updates. We're going to drag it on. You see that low starting to surge down into the panhandle and then takes off once again as it gets into the Great Lakes region, deepens into a bomb cyclone, and you're going to get a pressure gradient. Look at the pressure gradient once again. Here's the high pressure, 1,057 millibars, and then here you have 974 millibars. Again, similar to what the GFS is showing, it's going to wrap around Michigan for a little bit, kind of sit over that area for a short period of time before it finally moves off to the northeast. Still bringing that lake effect snow on the backside, bringing some gusty winds with it as well. Let's zoom in on the Great Lakes region and get an idea of how this is going to unfold according to the European model. So let's go back to where we were supposed to be again. Consistency with that snow that's going to be later on over the next couple of days. And then we get into Thursday, Friday with that winter storm. Once again, showing a very similar pattern to the GFS. You can start off with rain, and then you see freezing rain in that shades of purple, wintry mix, and pink. And you can really see that transition point kind of settles over much of Michigan before finally moving off to the east, bringing snow on the back side of it. How much snow? Again, the Euro is going to be a little bit different than the American model or the GFS model. So lake effect snow on the backside shown by the ECMWF once again. Still showing that it's going to last into Christmas Day as well. Very similar to what the GFS is showing right now. And the Euro is putting out maybe a possible low moving in later on, but that's going to be a little bit different from what we see. And I do think a ridge might build back in here by New Year's Eve to warm things up and start to thaw things out after this blizzard. Again, temperatures are going to be awfully cold. We're going to have sub-zero wind chills, even some wind chills as low as the negative teens, negative 20s across parts of Indiana and Ohio. Definitely going to want to bundle up if you're going outside and consider just staying inside if you can. There's going to be a lot of things you're going to want to do for winter storm safety. You're going to want to get some different preparation materials in your car. If you have a blanket, maybe some extra food that's edible in the cold, and then water. Have something there. And key thing you're going to want to know, if you get stuck in a ditch during the storm, don't leave your car on because carbon monoxide can really lead to carbon monoxide poisoning quite easily. Only turn it on in cases where you need heat. That is the best way to conserve your gas, your fuel, and to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning until someone can come and help you out. So those are some things you really should keep in mind as you consider this blizzard that's going to be coming into the area. Let's pause when the low is really starting to just move out of the area at about hour 100 or 102. Okay, that's a little bit farther, but that's okay. Wind gusts, again, going up to 40 to 50 miles an hour in some spots, even on close to 60 miles an hour in Indiana and Ohio, according to the Euro model. You look at the snow totals once we get past this thing. Let's go to December 26th when the storm is getting over. You still have some winds on the backside that will be really chilly, bring some cold wind chills. You look at the wind chill after this. You've got wind chills even up into parts of Michigan in the negative teens, very cold, and then the single digits across places where the lake is allowing things to warm a little bit. Snow totals from the Euro model compared to the GFS model. Again, similar, but not as extensive. Once again, you've got widespread snow totals of at least 6 to 12 inches, maybe in more closer to the lakeshore. According to the Euro model, again, these are still preliminary models, so we can't make a sure forecast on snow with this just yet. Gives you an idea of where it's going to fall. Again, pretty much the entire Great Lakes region is going to see snow, other than in the Euro is actually putting out that the southern tip of Ohio probably won't see that much snow with this particular setup. So that's something that is different from the GFS model. So a lot going into this particular storm event. Let's compare the models of snow totals real quick. GDPS, you can really see consistency between all the models that this area in Western Michigan is going to get a lot of snow, and it's likely that I'm going to be out and about checking things out. Not going to be driving during the blizzard because that's just a very dumb mistake. Don't do that. Even if you do have driving experience, it's still incredibly dangerous, and you don't want to put other people's lives at risk trying to get you out of the snow. So I'll be hiking around my area though, just checking things out, so that'll be good. But lots of heavy snow, and then the wind gusts of 50-60 miles per hour will cause a lot of drifting and a lot of problems. Pretty much anything that's plowed will struggle to stay plowed for a very short period of time. So it's going to be very dangerous travel. You do not want to be traveling during this, and if you don't have your Christmas shopping done yet, get that Christmas shopping done and maybe make a run to Costco while you're at it. So pretty decent storm on the way. Not something to mess around with. Again, you've seen the National Weather Service and meteorologists start to use pretty strong wording with this event, and the strong wording is definitely not put out of its proper place. It's in the right place, so this is a decent storm you're going to want to watch. So that's really a general overview of the models up to this point. I'll probably provide an update tomorrow and Wednesday as this thing begins to unfold across the Great Lakes region. So Thursday and Friday, expect some live streaming going on just around the general vicinity, and maybe get a look at those blizzard-like conditions outside when we get to it. All right, that's pretty much all I'm going to do for this stream. Be sure to subscribe because there will be updates, all right? Make sure to get your notifications. If not from me, just have a way to get information about this storm because you need to know this information in order to be safe during this particular event. So that's all I'm going to give for this, and I will see you all at the next opportunity to take a look at some of these models. And it's not going to be a fun storm, and you're going to want to make sure that you hunker down. So Merry Christmas, and I will see you all later.